Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our so-called CEO panel, which has become a tradition in the last 10 years at the ITB Hospitality. But before we start, I'd kindly ask the staff or hostesses maybe to close the doors in the back. Thank you. It's my pleasure to have two special guests here, and I'm sure not many of you know them. It's a pleasure to welcome Hubert Viriot, the CEO of Yotel, a very young hotel group, and Gesine Haag. She's the founder of a new hotel concept, a living concept called Barefoot Living, and we will try to find out what they have in common and what might be different. And let me start to introduce Hubert Viriot, please. He's, as I said, the CEO of a group that started in 2007, translating the principles of a first-class airline travel into hotel concepts. Yotel's rooms, he says, are designed around guests, taking the essential elements of luxury hotels and applying it to small rooms known as cabins. So when we talk about cabins, we talk about rooms. And Hubert, would you please just give us quickly some basic facts about Yotel, about how many rooms, where are the locations, where will you open next, cabin size, so on.
Sure.
Short, quickly.
Thank you very much, Maria, and good afternoon to everyone. So, as you said, Yotel was founded in 2007. We operate two types of hotels, airport hotels, which are located directly within airport terminals, and city hotels located in key urban centers across the world. We currently have 4 hotels in operation, 3 in Europe, 2 at London Heathrow Airport and London Gatwick Airport, and 1 at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, and we have a city hotel in operation in Manhattan in New York. We have 10 hotels in construction in the US, Europe, and Asia. We have a hotel in construction in San Francisco, Boston, Miami, and a second one in New York, as well as hotels under construction in Dubai, Singapore, and Paris. Our rooms are relatively small, but they offer most of the luxury that a sophisticated traveler would wish for in 15 square meters.
In average 15 or starting from 15 to?
Actually, we have smaller rooms within airport terminals, which is targeting transient consumer. Room starts actually at 10 square meters. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. And how successful is Yotel today? Can you give us some key figures?
Well, as I said, we currently have only 4 hotels in operation, which add to about 800 guest rooms, or cabins, as we say. But our 10 hotels under construction will add 2,500 cabins, and we're targeting to have another 2,500 within the next couple of years in development. So it's a fast-growing brand, which is increasingly attractive, both for airport authorities, generally speaking, operating hub airports, as well as sophisticated city centers, such as the city I mentioned earlier.
But at the airport, Yotel, you sell the rooms several times a day, so it's not all you don't only sell one night. You can rent the room for just a few hours.
We absolutely, Maria. I mean, we sell our rooms on 4-hour slots within airports. The reason is most of our consumers are passengers in transit or doing early check-in or late check-out or late check-in. They require an area to rest. Our brand is very much constructed around our customer needs. And as a result, we've realized that space was not exactly what they wanted. Convenience, connectivity, comfort, and an element of different innovation is far more important to our guests. So yes, at airports we sell the rooms up to 3 times a day, but in cities we tend to have an average length of stay of 3.5 nights.
Good for the revenue, for the profit at the end of the day?
Very good for our owners, yes.
Okay. Your owners are based in Kuwait. It's IFA Hotels and Resorts. It is a global investment firm. And Yotel, they are your largest shareholders. Mm-hmm. And but before joining them, you also worked for real estate and land developers. I just want to mention this because this also explains your competence, why they put you into operations now.
Hopefully.
And Hubert said, when we talked before, he made a very nice statement. He said, Yotel is mindset today. And I would like to suggest to watch the video first, the Yotel video, which gives you a better impression. Of course, it's a marketing video, but I think it will give you a better impression of what we are talking about today. Can I ask you to show the video, please?
Welcome to Yotel. Step inside with me as we take a tour of this trendy, high-tech hotel in Times Square.
Affordable luxury for a reasonable price. We didn't mention the room rates starting at Yotel, just for the example of New York.
In New York, we trade at $220 room rate, which is reasonably competitive, I guess. Obviously, it depends on which time of the year you come there. It can go much higher during the peak season. But on average, we're at $220, yes.
And in London Gatwick, for instance?
At airports, it's very different because we sell 4-hour slots. So we sell 4 hours for usually 40 to 50 pounds. But since we sell the rooms several times a day, the average room rate is not so different, actually.
Okay, thank you, Hubert, so far. I would like to come to Gesine and introduce her. Gesine is an international expert with a long experience, to make a long story short, in developing brands in the internet. She's also sort of a translator, like the Yotel founder was. And today, Gesine, you translate digital trends into feelings and products, to make it very short. And you gained some experience at various companies like Amazon or at Match.com. But you also worked in tourism with Thomas Cook, Neckermann Travel, and so on. And now your new baby is Barefoot Living. When did you found the company?
So Barefoot Living was founded 1 year ago, together with Til Schweiger. And it's basically, after all my internet experience, I was ready to do something real. And it all started off with Til Schweiger's big house on Mallorca, where we did the whole interior design, and he loved it, and finally all his friends loved it, and they stayed longer and longer, and we built another house, and we added another Yotel in the garden, and we did a nice tent setup in a big cave on his ground, and suddenly Til said, okay, we need a hotel where my friends would like to stay. And well, we're after all this internet where we are busy and from all sides all the things are coming to us through all the channels, we're very much convinced that there is at the same time the need for some peace of mind and for a quiet space. So basically, after all this internet and digital and gadgets and all we have, I think there is a very nice motivation to create a room for what really matters, which is to be you, authentic, to relax, and to meet with friends and family. These are very basic needs, and I think digital can help a lot to make it happen.
Okay, we get into details. We do have some time still. So Hubert comes from the investment side and from the development approach. Gesine comes more from the emotional side, but based on digital experience. So I thought this was a good pair, a good couple to present you today. And we can also show you a video from Barefoot Living to give you a better impression about that. Please. Thank you. So let's try to find out why you both fit together today.
Perfectly.
Hubert, let's start with you again. We shortly described Yotel, but looking at the concept, I asked myself, is it all about extremely small rooms now and minimum service wrapped by a smart design and technology gimmicks like Yobot, the robot? You saw the robot lifting the luggage in the video. And by the way, Yobot is on the cover of our Hospitality Inside ITB, especially in the background. You can grab one. There's also a short story about Yotel in. But is this a gimmick, and what did Yobot mean to you and to your message?
Sure. Well, I wish it was that simple, and we could just simply design some small rooms everywhere, and that was it. It's a little bit more complicated than that, and I think if fundamentally Yotel is developed and designed around our guests and understanding what our guests want, and more specifically what they want in the locations where we're growing, and in a very specific period of time in their life, which is traveling away from home, right? And based on looking at there's so many different offerings there is in the market, and researching our consumers and understanding what they actually want, we realized that space was not necessarily the most important thing. And far more important was to have a number of services which we're providing, security, luxury, facilities, but not necessarily pay, basically a number of specifications and facilities which are more typical of the luxury hospitality industry, but they don't necessarily want to spend $600, $700 to be able to access these kind of facilities, which I think is the first element which created Yotel, which is providing this experience into a much more affordable manner. And for that, we removed one of the unnecessary element of hospitality, which is having some very, very large rooms, which are totally useless when you stay for 2 nights in a hotel. The second thing is we've realized our consumers are very much connected, and the way they actually consume and what they're expecting when they're traveling is far more digitalized than probably what traditional hotels offer. So we've removed some of the transactionary experiences of a hotel, which we think don't add much value. If anything, they probably remove value from an experience, such as checking in or checking out or doing basic billing transactions. When we first started doing this, I can tell you when we did our first hotel in New York, the one we saw in the video, and we told the developer we want to build a 670 guest room hotel, but we don't need a reception. And they really looked at us and they said, what the hell are you guys doing? How are the people going to check in? It's like, we don't need that because we'll do it from a digital point of view, straight from laptops or your iPads or telephones. And other people thought, well, you're actually removing the guest experience of a hotel. I think you have a misunderstanding because the general guest experience of checking in or checking out from a hotel is not an enjoyable experience. It's a waste of time, basically. So we've tried to remove all the transaction part of the hotel, which are not so interesting, and then on the other hand, keep services which are far more important for a guest, helping them meet people, helping them do their business, have good hints as to what to do in the place they are. And we're doing this through a traditional kind of concierge desk, as well as developing applications for them to actually connect with us, connect within a local social app, and be able to meet either other guests or other people within the city and get the right addresses, which are not necessarily the ones you see in your typical tourist guidebook, right? And going back to Yobot and so forth, I mean, we think innovatively, right? I mean, Yotel has been created a bit from an out-of-the-box perspective. We're not, all hoteliers in our company, and we try to think very differently, and it's very important in our DNA to have an innovation part, okay? Okay. It doesn't mean we're going to have Yobots everywhere, but we'll try to do different things. So.
Yeah, I think that's obvious that you're different in some parts and in many points, but just let's break it down to a few points. So, Hubert, this was a sensation when you introduced. What did it mean? What does it mean today? By the way, is it a he or she?
I think it remains a it, but look, it's sensational. Are we going to do that in every hotel? Certainly not. I mean, this is great. This has really created a destination for our New York property. I think it created a lot of advertising as well. It's a very convenient innovation. But we try to look for different innovation pieces for different hotels. And we don't come with like a list of items which our owners can choose from. You can do a Yobot or other stuff.
Okay, what else?
We're more trying to create locally with local creator something new. Right now, for instance, in Boston, we're creating a fully automated bar.
What, please?
A fully automated bar, so which can work 24/7. Each property has got its own uniqueness, right? Generally speaking, we like to focus on digitalized experience because that's what our consumers are looking for.
Okay. And how important is Wi-Fi for you? You just touched it. So what did they want? Super fast Wi-Fi? Did you talk to your guests? Did you do any service? Yes, I think
no,
so.
To be honest, I think it's to a certain extent common sense. Personally, I think it's exceptionally annoying to have to pay for Wi-Fi when you're being charged $500 a night to stay in a hotel. Well, A, we don't charge $500, and secondly, I mean, it's for free. I mean, who lives without Wi-Fi? I mean, all of our consumers don't have one laptop. Actually, they don't have laptops. They have iPads, they've got smartphones, they've got several of them. They've got 2, 3, they've got different plugs, different things. It's the way they live. We're not going to charge them for living that way. We're going to make it simple for them. We're going to make it free, we're going to make it high broadband, and we're going to make it available everywhere.
I like the term you use internally. You say part of Yotel's brand DNA is called CANI, or constant and never-ending innovation.
Correct.
So, and okay, I'm curious to hear what you will do next. Gesine, now listening to Hubert, do you think what is technology about? Is it necessary you have all these digital gimmicks and to be prepared for guests having coming up with 3 to 4 devices? What's your approach to technology?
So basically, I think digital is part of life, and for a very good reason. All the innovations that make life easier and more convenient and save time for having a good experience, it's absolutely welcome. There are parts that are just, I think, a bit to observe, where digital takes over and you lose a bit your freedom to act because you rely on gadgets and on tools. It started with the GPS. Now these days many people can't find roads anymore or read maps, and they get kind of really, really lost if that gadget doesn't work. It starts now with the nutrition and the activity tracking bands, where you suddenly can't decide yourself anymore what's good and what's the right level of activity, or what should you eat. So at the end, people feel like walking without crutches if they don't have these tools. And we truly believe that life is all about using your senses and really experiencing something. And if you don't use your senses, the experience won't be that good. And this is what life is about. So therefore, anything where you can use your senses instead of just having a screen in front of you is something that is worthwhile. And I mean, it's easy to say, oh, it's so nice to see kids climbing the trees or playing outside, and these things get rarer and rarer. And so we would like to create a space where this is the action and this is the experience, and anything that helps to find the right space or the right activity, or find a very special recommendation when to go out with a boat, or to have a real campfire outside together, that's all fantastic. But I wouldn't be a fan of having a fantastic digital campfire somewhere without the smell and without the sound and without the heat and all these things. So that's where we like to enable the access to good moments.
But would you recommend today, now, for new hotel concepts, would you recommend now also to maybe limit Wi-Fi in certain areas, maybe around the pool or in the restaurants, or just to create a Wi-Fi free zone and enable or encourage people to come up with more creativity? Is this
I mean, who wants someone to tell you what to do? I mean, I think it should be so motivating to leave your tools somewhere, because you have great opportunity to talk to people directly or to do something directly, that it gets so much easier to get off the hook. And that this is what you want. I would prefer rather that, but encourage that the experience is different. I mean, just the simple thing on a mountain hut these days, the people don't play cards anymore. They just sit in front of the gadget. And I mean, that was good times playing cards together. Perhaps I'm a bit romantic, but we keep that up. Yeah.
Watching the video, we also saw a lot, or in the beginning we see a lot of some photos about clothes, cashmere pullovers. What does lifestyle or your approach mean? So where does your concept start now? Is it more the fashion? Is it the personal lifestyle you come from, and then you translate it into a concept? So how can you integrate the personal experience to your hotel concept?
It's funny because there is a lifestyle brand which is all about simplicity, and we care about the simple products that are great, you can rely on it, and that last for long. This alone doesn't create a brand. So what you get is basically you have Til Schweiger. Those who know him, he's edgy, he is very authentic, he says things people wouldn't say in public. But you know it's real what he's doing, and that's what we stand for. And so at the end we deliver everything for this life experience. So you can start in the morning with our coffee, you can wear the sweaters, you can have the wine in the evening, you can have Barefoot Living events. If you want the wedding, perhaps Til Schweiger shows up. You can stay as if you stay with him, it's not about his popularity, it's more about someone who likes to be driven, successful, stands for quality, and for a very relaxed, down-to-earth family man. And this is a combination where we saw with our internet platform, but people love it. And they want more of it, and they asked for how they can have more of this experience. So basically, you take a bit home, you go somewhere and have it. So it's more like, take it whenever you want it, and part of it is then the hotel experience.
Mm-hmm. Which type of people order Til's fashion, for instance? Can you have an idea on that?
Yeah, so we definitely don't rely on Til Schweiger fans. It's more a statement of we're sick of fast consumer goods where we don't know where they come from and that don't last long. It's people who want quality and to buy these products in the internet. He's kind of a reliable proof that this must be good. So this is what we profit from. But these are people, basically all age groups. So via Facebook, we know exactly who's shopping with us. And the motivation we always have, we do very detailed customer service also by phone. And we know that it's like a statement for themselves that they want this, a bit of this romance, a bit of these real feelings that Til Schweiger also transfers in his movies. So where it's about family, falling in love, having these real moments and not just functioning in a kind of perfectly dressed up way, but more like, okay, I like it smooth and I'm still a real man. So that's a statement.
Is there a difference between men and women?
For the women, I'm not quite sure yet if this is all women who felt in love with him. I'm not sure. So.
No, I thought the difference between men and women, who buys what or who orders what.
So the women order for the men,
okay,
but the men order for the women. So it's
okay.
It's
hard to separate.
We have 50% men shopping easily,
okay,
and we have men like they shop for their whole apartment. So they want the whole thing. They want the curtains, they want the bed linen, they want the table, and they want someone to come and they hire the interior designer to get the house cozy but still perfect so that everything is functioning, and they believe this is how a home should look like. Yeah.
How can I shop with Yotel? What can I shop with Yotel?
Well, you know, we're expanding actually quite rapidly. So far you can shop rooms, obviously. But what we've realized is that actually our approach to hospitality also applies to other segments. You know, we're slowly contemplating more projects, more types of sectors where I guess our kind of philosophy applies to. And we're doing a very small extension to our business plan soon. We're going to manage our first serviced apartment project in Dubai. So it's our first venture into more residential types of product, which I think makes a lot of sense because at the end of the day, what we're offering applies to far more than just a short stay. It can also apply to a longer stay, you know. And we're you know, at the same time we try to stay very focused on what we do well, and we'd rather work with partners in bringing alternative products. So we don't mind selling different products through our own applications or websites or through the hotel. Through co-branding exercises, co-retailing, etc. So we're more focused at the moment on the accommodation industry.
But I would like to come back to this, to the interior design to fashion, which leads to interior design. As you said, they want to buy the stuff they live with. So can you imagine to integrate such an online shop in a new hotel concept?
So definitely part of the concept is that you could buy anything
you use and feel
yeah, so that you can take part of the experience home again. And that could, I mean, anything you would like to take home. That could be also a cooking book, or so from the bed to the curtains. So all these things, as this is our kernel where we started, is again kind of coming home. So it's the whole connection. We know the people from the internet. We know they like this style. They go in a hotel. They experience the things. They might take it home as a good memory, and from there it goes on. So it's an ongoing process of interaction points that we have.
Do hoteliers understand this?
So before we started going out, we have had a couple of very, very interesting approaches for hotels, and these people are seeing the beauty of having a clear statement and a brand with a face where you get emotions delivered in a very, very authentic way. Yeah, and there are not many concepts of brands where you feel it's real and where it's credible and not created to build a brand, but it's just there and the connection is made. And this is the beauty what the people like about it. Yeah.
So, Hubert, you create a concept. You create Yotel first, but you say you create a concept around the guest, around the consumer. So can you give us maybe one or two more examples which services you have created in Yotel?
Well, I don't know if we've created them, but I'll tell you services that we're providing, at least. We don't mean to reinvent the wheel all the time, but as again, we're listening to what our guests want, right? And we tend to focus on very mature markets, right? Very competitive by definition, markets such as New York, London, Berlin, Paris, etc. Our guests are very knowledgeable. They kind of know what they want, and that's why they don't want to bother with the fuss sometimes of pompous hotels. They like our simplicity and our rapidity and our efficiency. But we help them also connect, right? So that happens in two ways. Digitally, as I said earlier, we provide social applications, local social applications, for our guests to connect within the local community, which will allow them to, if not meet someone, at least to understand where are the good places to hang out after work, or what are the good attractions today in town. Instead of putting a little paper in the room, you can just connect with the local community, which can be hotel staff, but very often just the social network of the city. Right? There's no need to reinvent the wheel again. And the second way we create that kind of interaction is in our public spaces. Right? So we're very focused on the accommodation business, but at the same time. And as I said, we've removed a lot of the transactionary interaction of hospitality, but we're keeping the social part of it. And the way we achieve that is creating only one public area, which we call club lounges, and which are a multifunction area. And they basically become what you want it to be. It's designed in such a way that people are brought to kind of face each other. I mean, they want to talk to each other or not, that I can't force, but it's conductive, excuse me, to socializing. And it can be for work, it can be for just partying, relaxing. As we've seen in that little video, it can be anything, right? And it's important to have this experience in the hotel, right? At the same time, we don't try to oversell them, right? Our job is to provide a great experience for our guests. We're in cities which provide multiple attractions, okay? And we do understand that our guests, they want to go and visit the city. So we're helping their experience instead of trying to retain them in mediocre spas or mediocre restaurants. So we just do our job very well and to facilitate an enjoyable stay for business, tourism, leisure, whatever the case might be.
So do you offer more entertainment than communication? How do hotels communicate with their guests when they are in? Is there any specific communication? Are there any? How important is Facebook for you, for instance? Do you use any chats? Are there any chat rooms?
Absolutely. Look, we can't force people to speak to each other. We can help them, okay? And we can help them because what we've realized is most of our guests travel on are free independent travelers, right? So they're there specifically for a reason. They are with a partner or a couple of partners, but rarely in a group. So they need to see other people, right? They need to, I mean, not all of them, but generally speaking, at least our guest profile is more of an adventurer who is going in town just for any reason, doesn't really matter, who is there interested to see things. And, I'm not just going to Berlin because I've got to speak at this conference. I'm in Berlin, so I might as well go and see a couple of friends. And then, you know what, I've never visited that museum, so I'm going to go there. And so forth. So we are helping them achieve their experience, okay? And that's more just, as you said, it's through chat rooms and so forth, but it's also direct contact. We have a service element in our hotels, what we call mission control.
Now, question to both of you, how can digital blend in with natural or barefoot experience, to use your term? How can it blend in? So where's the connection in daily life? When I stay at the hotel, if it may be a business hotel or a resort hotel, or maybe private villa in future, or hotel which may look more like a private villa. So what would you suggest? Just give us some ideas. How can it blend in? Gesine, you want to start?
For me, it's we know the customers far earlier, so they are kind of we experience them, and it's all about curation to give the right recommendations. And as you said, it's about giving this. Well, we heard it before so much, this Airbnb touch, so someone who really knows the cafe around the corner and not who's just at the reception and never drinks a cafe down the road. So that's essential, how to get the very personal, relevant recommendations out. And the tools are out there, I think, where we can help, and this is what we want to do, is get the right recommendations from the right people to our Barefoot Living experience. So these people, when they stay with us or when they like our brand, want a special experience, and we should be the expert to give the best recommendations. So this is this enabling part. And then going out and doing things, for example, booking a bike through a very simple application, it's much better than asking at the reception, not knowing where the bike is, not knowing if you need a key, and all these things where you think, oh, I better give up, and it could be a hassle. So these barriers you feel when you want to get active somewhere, to remove these barriers with a digital help. I think that's what we're all used to. I'm not a big fan of being in a hotel room and trying to switch the light off, but I need to switch on my television first or use my iPad, and I might not have my contact lenses anymore, and I'm just in this space where I don't know how to switch the light off. So just basic things like the sound of a light switch and so on, I think this is what we can keep, because life doesn't get easier without it. Yeah. So I think this digital innovation should make sense, and sometimes it's a fascination for what we can do, but do we really want that? And I think it's sometimes good to do less than more.
When you talked before, I liked your example very much. You said we can use messaging systems, for instance, to remind people of the fisher boat's departure for sunset, for instance. Yeah, and I think this is a nice picture. And would you also share the other travelers' names now in this message? Then who else will join the fisher boat trip?
Yeah, for me, honestly, it's part of the experience. So I'm very scared in hotels who would be on the boat with me. It could be a nightmare day. And if I see, okay, these are relaxed, cool people, or then it could be that even more people like to join these trips. So wherever I don't like to sit with weird people at the same table, I mean, just honestly speaking. That's how I would like to choose my hotel, to understand the whole hotel experience lives from the people I share with. So we all know what an experience is about. Yeah, it's not just the location and everything, but the people who are there, and it's an orientation. It helps. Okay, I might be right here because it's this type of people, and you really enjoy who you meet there. I mean, that's where do we meet people these days? I mean, there are not so many great opportunities, and I think that's something that we can enable to really meet the people you want to meet, and you think it's a great opportunity.
But if you translate your ideas now more to hotels, to hotel concepts, and hotels normally still have to be a commercial entity, earning money someday, yeah? And so what does it mean? Does it mean, for me, first means now I need more staff. I don't need less staff, but more staff in your examples. Is this true?
Then help me understand what you need more, because I think it gets less.
Because you need more dedicated people who understand guest needs and take care. You need more staff to serve you at the pool, to be around, to give you information.
I think you reduce it to the right things, and I think the personal note is part of the experience. So when I look back at my hotel stays, it's the friendly smile and really understanding instead of the super trained staff. We've had earlier the examples that only big hotel chains can afford to train their staff in the right way. I've had, in my internet times, I spent time with Zappos, the shoe company from the States that is known for delivering happiness. And this is just, you have real people, and they don't get a script. And customer service is the most important department, and they love to understand who's on the phone and love to be a real person. So, and this is, I think this is something a small hotel everybody can do. It's not about very extensive trainings. It's about giving the space to be a real person again and replying in that manner and finding smart ways to find the right information. I mean, that's what it's about, and that's not about following a script and getting very stiff and not waiting for the moment when you're allowed to smile. No, it's just the real stuff, and that's more refreshing and more helpful, and I think it's not, that's the other thing that came up in the discussions before, not about the perfection, because, I mean, we get all these perfect faces with perfect, whatever you can do perfect, but that's not the feeling and emotion anymore. So I think just the honest, real experience, that's something that is not necessarily more complicated. You just have to take a different approach.
Yeah. Yotel, when I call when I call Yotel, I suppose I can still call.
You speak to a robot.
You speak to a robot. So what does your staff say when they pick up the phone?
No. You speak to. We haven't yet got this one right. No, I'm kidding. Look, no, there's definitely a human element in Yotel. If you can,
you can call. Yotel, how can I help you?
We took a very digital approach to the experience. Even more specifically, we took an approach which our consumers are already super connected. So they're full of devices.
Okay.
And so we don't even try to give them anything. What we give them is a very easy way to connect, right? So our philosophy is bring your own device.
Sure, but this means nobody calls you ever.
That's not true. So, but we're equipped. We're equipped for all situations. We have the ability to. We have a call center. Which is not very busy, to be honest, but it's a good news, I guess. The vast majority of our consumers book online. For what is still a young brand, only starting, when you have 4 hotels in operation, we are happy to have 50% of our consumer booking directly with us through our websites, which I think is a decent performance. Obviously, we want to improve that, but that's not too bad. We have, as I said, call centers. We have all the different channels that a normal consumer may want. But generally speaking, he's connected, and we're making it easy for them to book with us. And our job is to make sure they book directly through our website rather than going through one of our great OTAs out there. And by that, the experience starts very early. much before you're at the hotel. The experience starts when you start booking, when you start thinking of us. It starts in the social apps, actually, and then it goes into the website, and eventually it goes through the check-in counter and so forth. In terms of the then experience within the hotel, as I said, I mean, the philosophy is to make it easy to charge your device, easy for you to connect to our smart TVs, to be able to look on a greater screen what you have on your little telephone, and easy to check in, check out. So we have kiosk for guests to check in, and I think for 95% of our consumers check in directly through our kiosk or through our apps. Very few guests actually require the actual interaction of help of seeing someone and getting a key physically. So,
of what age are your guests in average?
There is no demographic. It's,
give us an idea. What more majority,
okay,
minority?
Probably the bulk of our guests are 20 to 40. Okay, but that's maybe 40% of our guests. But we have guests up to, I don't know if you have had yet a century guest, but it's actually very interesting. Demographics don't really tell us much on our guests. So yes, the bulk. When we created the brand, we were very focused on the millennials. But now what we're realizing is we have a much deeper consumer base, and we have the corporate accounts, and we have MICE accounts, and we have tourists, and so forth. So it's actually, which is good news for us, I guess. Our concept is appealing to a far greater population than we thought.
Okay, Gesine, did you already develop your concept now so far that it's mature already to be realized in the market? Are there specific projects already you work on for the new Barefoot Living concept?
So basically the concept is in constant evolution. But we know what we want to do, and we know what the kernel is and what it takes. And we are having several talks with hotels at very, very nice locations who would love to be the first Barefoot hotel that gets ready. Yeah. And so now we're just evaluating the investment and the commitment. And it's a lot about the understanding of the values and how to live it then and how to make it happen. Yeah.
Surprisingly, you said before that the first two hotels who are interested in the concepts that they are German hotels.
I think part of it is that Til Schweiger is so well known here, so
that's one reason.
The hotel owners see a clear impact to be related with his brand, and we have such a strong marketing channel with over 1 million followers on Facebook. He speaks out openly about the things he's doing and why he loves it. He's definitely staying there because it's his dream to have his hotel, and he's definitely going to do some movie parties there, inviting his friends to do concerts. So that's part of living a bit with him his life. And so there are very, very serious interests. And I think Germany still has a lot of space with a very focused, efficient, successful people to step out for a bit and find orientation in the whole choice of hotels and destinations where you can go. So I think there is definitely, a great ground to test the concept. And for us, we're learning every day. We're learning who buys our product, what do they want, what is fascinating them, and we're trying to keep that soul and put it now, or make it available in this hotel that you can go in, you can feel how you relax, you feel you're not corporate, but you feel more barefoot, that there is this space to live a bit different, yeah? And so I think Germany is a great place to give a bit of...
to give them more relaxation, huh?
Yeah, it's a good combination, I guess. I feel it's good. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to open the panel to your questions, please. I think it's a good opportunity maybe to ask for more details. You'd like to know, are there any questions in the room? Yeah, there's one in the background. Do we have a micro? Or Sorry. Yes, please. There's one in front of you.
My name is Renee from Travel Business Analyst, and we are contributing editors to TTG Dailies. Question to Hubert Viriot. Did I hear right that your clients, your guests, can check in for like 4 or 5 hours? How do you do the turnaround with your management and the housekeeping with that kind of turnaround time? I mean, quick turnaround time.
Sure. So this type of situation, just to clarify, only happens at airport hotels, right? Where we sell hourly slots rather than room nights. We don't do that within city hotels for obvious reasons. So it's actually quite simple because the airport hotel concept is very much meeting a very specific requirement of the international traveler, right? Long layover within an airport. So the vast majority of our guests know in advance when they're going to come and how long they're going to stay, right? So we can plan it well in advance. When does the room need to be clean? When is it going to be available? When is it going to come back into the inventory? I was giving a statistic earlier that 50% of our guests book through our website. That's for city hotels. Within airport hotels, it's 90%. Everybody knows. They book straight on the website. We know exactly what time they arrive and what time they leave. So it's just a matter of being reasonably well organized with our housekeeping team to clean around the room rapidly. As you've seen on the video, our rooms are not very large, specifically in the airports. So it takes us less than 10 minutes to clean a room. So we can very quickly put back a room into the inventory.
Okay, some other questions? Everybody's so quiet. Some more here? Okay.
My question is about Yotel. In my country, we have to submit the guest in-house list to the police station. And how do you know that your guests check in with their real names? I mean, how do you provide security in that sense?
Okay. We've made a decision as a brand to grow globally. It does create a number of challenges, obviously, and one of them is to adapt to the local tourism and juridic requirement. We're developing currently 2 hotels in Dubai, and they have such requirements. It's just to a certain extent, will slow down the process of our check-in because we'll have to ask 2 more questions to our guests. If they tell us the truth or not, I don't think we can necessarily, if they have a true passport or not, I can't tell. I'm not sure which part of the world you're from, but in the case
Turkey.
Okay, so in Dubai, I think we have like an hour to give back the information to the police, and they quickly tell us if we've got a dangerous person in-house or not. But our responsibility is obviously to comply with the general, administrative and security requirement of the places we do business in. I cannot guarantee that all my guests are actually trading under their real name or real passport. That's the police job, I guess.
Okay, one more question? One more? Look around the corner. Nobody else? So I have one last question for you, for all of you. There are these tiny little devices at your chair, and I would like to ask you a TED question. So you can answer this with yes and no, please. And maybe can we plan in the TED question? And after you can answer it by just pressing 1 or 2 for yes and no. And can you see it? So it says, which trends experiences, it says, will the digital trend displace human values in future? What do you think? Yes or no?
What's the question?
What do you press?
Yeah, you don't see the question. Just press 1 or 2? Wow. So 51, did I get it right? 51% say yes. So digital trend will, how did say, pressurize human values in the future? Okay, it's nearly half-half, so wow, this is an answer too. So I think we will all have to work on it, to communicate about our ideas, about the digital trends, about the emotional trends, and how to blend it both in. Because obviously there's a lot of movement in the market, and I could also tell it from the previous panels. At least we can say one for sure, change. There's change in the market. There's definitely change in the market. A lot of changes going on, but we haven't decided yet if we will decide to go for the more digital and virtual world, or we will stick to the more emotional and physical world. I think the next years, honestly, will continue to be very exciting, and it will have a certain influence on hotels, on existing hotel brands, on new hotel concepts coming up. I'm very sure we will find some more interesting panels in the next years, as exciting as the two ones of today were. And I thank you very much to both of you, Gesine and Hubert. Thanks for coming to Berlin and for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Vielen Dank.
Maria.